Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We've got Rachel Vigil and DMAC hanging out with you. DMAC, what are you drinking this morning?
Just a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Just straight up coffee, nothing fancy.
Okay, I've got some peach honey tea. I am still rocking a headache. It is day 3 of a headache for me, so I know it doesn't make sense.
What are you
It's
doing?
starting to freak me out. I'm trying not to Google why I have a headache for 3 days because it's going to tell me I have a brain tumor or something. So we're just hoping that a weekend.
Wow. We are starting coffee break on a dark, dark place.
It's been my past 3 days though, DMAC. I'm like, what is going on with my head? Why do I have a headache?
Goodness. Okay. Well, I certainly am anti-brain tumor for you. I agree.
Thank you so much, everybody. We hope that you're having a wonderful Friday and you're looking forward to an extra good weekend. Let's get into it. Christian McCaffery being traded to the 49ers from the Carolina Panthers. This came late last night. Very surprising to the fact that he's going to the 49ers, in my personal opinion. Not so surprising that he got traded. He did tweet out, "I'm forever grateful for all the people who have helped me make these 5.5 years so special for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Carolina. I will always love you." Did the 49ers just become a more so Super Bowl contender with Christian McCaffrey?
Well, they are like the X-Men with Weapon X with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. I mean, two guys that are these hybrid sort of running back receiver sort of threats. That's a wild combination. So it sort of shows you where the 49ers want to, make things happen. Maybe a more conservative approach and be able to do more out of the backfield. A wild combination because the most Christian McCaffrey guy in the NFL is probably Deebo Samuel, and now they're on the same team. So, I am a gargantuan Christian McCaffrey fan. I knew him when he was a little kid with Ed and Lisa, and they were all little rugrats hanging around. And so, I just think the world of Christian and his family. And I think it's cool that they're a little closer. Of course, Christian went to Stanford. Ed and Lisa both went to Stanford. Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan's kid, was the coach of Ed McCaffrey. And then you got John Lynch. And he'll be going back. And by the way, if people don't know, the San Francisco 49ers aren't anywhere close to San Francisco, Rachel. They're in Santa Clara, which is, basically Silicon Valley, which is right next to Palo Alto. So Christian goes back to a place that, he knows very, very well. And it's a heck of a lot easier to fly for Lisa to get out to San Francisco, or you would actually fly into San Jose than to go to Carolina. So he's not back with the Broncos, but aside from being with the Broncos, I can't think of a better team for him to be with. So I'm excited for him and for his family. And let's hope that Christian, has some health going his way, because he has been awful beat up for the past couple of years.
I know. That's kind of the main thing when you have Christian McCaffrey. You have to put a little asterisk. If he's healthy. That's always the question when it comes down.
Yeah.
But last Sunday, he played pretty dang good, but it really looked like it was kind of an audition tape for the 31 other teams that were looking and saying, hey, can Christian McCaffrey still play? So my question to you, DMAC, is that what the Broncos are going to try to do to Melvin Gordon? Are they on the same thing where they're like, all right, you're going to start. We want you to go out there and look good as an audition tape?
Well, that would make sense, and I certainly was going down that path as well. But now I don't think so.
Okay.
Because they're just so dysfunctional with everything else they're doing. By the way, Hackett...
Is that giving them too much credit?
I know. We're giving them too... Hackett backed off. Will Melvin start? I mean, do you get the first snap? Okay. But Hackett yesterday sort of backed off like, we're all in on Melvin. If you could read between the lines a little bit. He also said, well, we're going to get the ball to Latavius Murray and to Mike Boone, and it's, okay. So I'm not anticipating some sort of big showcase for Melvin Gordon. I think they will consider trading him for sure. I think he's a very tradable commodity, but a lot depends on this week. I mean, if you're, 2-5, it doesn't look awful. It doesn't look very good, does it? And certainly at 2-6, it's a fire sale for the Broncos. I mean, they'll trade anybody. And you don't have much time because the trade deadline is just a couple days after their game in London. So you've got to think of these contingencies if you're George Paton and the Broncos management. And frankly, we should be looking at Carolina, because what else do you got? Because they're in fire sale mode right now. So if there's some sort of appeal, the problem, Rachel, with the Broncos, they don't have any draft picks that they can actually operate with. So when you see what the Niners gave up for Christian McCaffrey, it's like the Broncos just don't have that. They don't have that type of value.
Let's talk about that. Is Christian McCaffrey worth all of those picks? Because that is a ton of picks.
You know, if you think you can win, if you're in a win now mood, sure. I mean, if that's where your head's at, and it's not like the NFC West is any great digs. I mean, what are we talking about? The Cardinals got a nice win yesterday, but the Seahawks, what are they? And, San Fran's just hanging in there. The Rams are a little shaky here, Rachel. So, if you think you can win, go for it. If you think you can get to the playoffs, and once you get to the playoffs, how do you win playoff games? And frankly, the entire football in general isn't loaded with a lot of great teams this year. There's a couple of really good ones, and I think the Jets are complete posers. I think their 4-2 record is not indicative whatsoever as to who they are. I think the Broncos are going to win this game on Sunday, something like 19-13, and I think the Broncos are going to bounce back. I know that sounds insane. Like, why would that happen? What evidence do I have? And I don't have much on paper, but
it's that gut feeling.
I'll take the intangible that they beat the Jets, a division rival, or beat the Dolphins rather, a division rival. That's a big win, and a big win against the Packers on the road. I just think that just the flow of the NFL, unless you're really a good team, if the Jets actually win this game, okay, you got me. You're a really good team. You win, you're a really good team. I just don't believe it right now. I think they have a very good defensive front four. And other than that, I think they're pretty average across the board.
Okay. Where's their strong suit? Like, where's their strongest?
Well, specifically, it's Quinnen Williams there. Do everything, defensive tackle. And I don't want to put him in a box because he literally does everything. He can rush the passer, stop the run, block kicks. He did all of that last week against the Packers. I mean, he was unbelievable. And his brother Quincy is a pretty cool linebacker right behind him. And then they got a lot of young guys. And young guys tend to be kind of inconsistent. They got Breece Hall, under 23, running back. Garrett Wilson, receiver, under 23, who's been really good. And Zach Wilson, under 23, is their quarterback. The Baby Jets. So I just think that you're going to have a hiccup every now and then. And I think the timing works out well. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Nobody would be shocked that the worst offense in the NFL doesn't win a game. I get it. But the Broncos also have the fourth best defense, Rachel. And I think that'll come to bear. You're not going to get a lot of points. You'll probably get a lot of field goals. And if you can force Zach Wilson into some turnovers, short fields could at least result in field goals. I'm not saying this is some sort of spectacular game, Rachel. I'm talking 19.
So boring.
Yeah, I'm talking 19-13. Yeah. I saw that our pal Mike Evans predicted 9-6 or something like that for the Broncos. Something like that. I don't know. So I'll take the Broncos this weekend, and those are the reasons why. Because I just don't believe the Jets are real. I don't. They're getting better. They're getting better, and there's certainly no pushover, but I just don't think they're the real deal.
Here's the problem: is it seems like the Jets are going this way, and the Broncos are going this way.
Well, that's right. That's right. And certainly if the Jets do win, with 5 losses in 7 games, your hope for the playoffs is so low.
The second half of the schedule, D-Mac, is going to be so brutal. Yeah. I don't know if the Broncos will score more than 14 points besides like the Carolina game, and there's like a few games in there. Otherwise, you're like, oh no.
Well, here's what's wild. Russell Wilson shouldn't even play this weekend. He shouldn't. He's. It's not like he can't get out there because we saw him at practice yesterday. He can put on a helmet, put on a uniform. He can get out there, okay? It's just that he's so limited. and what he's able to do because of his injuries, I really do think you have a better chance with Brett Rippon or Josh Johnson. And I'm sad to sort of report on that. It's a bummer, but I think that's actually the truth. If you go with Russell Wilson, man, I don't know. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you throw some screens, or I don't know. Maybe I really don't know how you do it with Russell Wilson, to be honest with you, because he can't move very well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know, and I feel like if you lose to the Jets and you have Brett Rippon as your back or your quarterback, you're not going to get as much heat as if Russell Wilson's in the game. But we're going to move on.
Hey, Rachel, that's a great point too. If you want to save your job, if you lose with Rippon, okay, if you lose with Rippon, nobody's really gonna throw you overboard there. You're not going to get that much blame. You lose with Russell Wilson on Sunday, and then
in London,
I mean, you're toast. 2-6 bye week. I have no idea why Greg Penner wouldn't make some significant coaching changes. And we have seen this week, Rachel, there haven't been, as far as we can tell, any changes. Yeah. None. In fact, just the opposite, because now we're being like, oh, yeah, Melvin Gordon, he's a starter. A big pat on the back. So we haven't seen any significant changes. And we're dealing with another injury for Russell Wilson. So I would make a change. And my change I would make, based on everything in front of us at this point, I would start Brett Rippon.
I love the comments from Finesse. As Rachel always says, this will be the week. LOL, maybe, hopefully. IDK. That is, I feel like, what I say all the time. I'm hopeful it'll be the week, but this week I'm really not feeling confident. But I do want to move on, D-Mac, to talk about the Nuggets, because they're going to take on the Splash Trio. I know they're the Splash Brothers, but they had Jordan Poole. Now they're the Splash Trio. I'm not anticipating Jamal Murray to play tonight because I'm anticipating him to play tomorrow night. But what do the Nuggets need to do to improve from Wednesday's game against the Jazz?
Well, they've got to show more intensity on defense and, at least a willingness to get out there and guard the perimeter. But, the Jazz were hot. The Jazz made a lot of three-pointers right off the bat, Rachel, and that probably caught the Nuggets by surprise. Disappointing on that. I will say, Rachel, if you shoot 20-something% and your opponent shoots 44% from three, you're going to lose most games. So I definitely saw games last year where a lesser team just came in and they couldn't miss. And that does happen sometimes just because that's just basketball. So I don't want to make too big of a deal of it. If the Nuggets were, just a little bit better and the Jazz were a little cooler, we would have saw a more even game. The game got closer in the third quarter. And then, it stretched to a 20-point difference only in the last 2 minutes because the Nuggets waved the white flag. So I don't look at anything in terms of the final score. I look at the flow of the game. And defensively, the Nuggets played a lot better in the second half than they did the first half. But the first half, Rachel, was, abysmal. It was absolutely ridiculous. So you just can't have that. You've got to rebound better, and you got to shoot better. And I'm really not anticipating. I'm not anticipating much against Golden State. I'm not holding my breath that somehow that's gonna turn itself around against Golden State.
Magically change.
But we'll see. But no, I anticipate the Nuggets will lose tonight as well, and then we'll take a breath and try to get our act together on Saturday night for opening night.
Okay, so quick question. If I say you're embarrassed, you got embarrassed, does that mean it's time to panic?
Not time to panic, but it's a very early heads up. Don't forget, the Nuggets had 2 very poor preseason games, and then they played really well. So it's not like we haven't already seen this story before this year. Yeah. And I think they probably took Utah very lightly because who the heck is Utah? Really, seriously, nobody, including Utah, knew who Utah was. 15 new players, knew everything there in Utah. Yeah. So okay.
Turnovers killed the Nuggets too.
I'm excited. I bet you anything, Rachel, if the Nuggets play Utah or whenever they play them again, the Nuggets wipe the floor with Utah, okay? But they got caught by a surprise. It's a bad moment. It's not time for panic whatsoever.
Was it an embarrassing loss? Was it an embarrassing loss?
Of course it was an embarrassing loss.
Thank you. I got
terrible.
roasted on Twitter because everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're panicking, blah, 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 blah. Because I said it was embarrassing. It was a bad loss for the Nuggets. Everyone's coming at me and roasting me. So whatever. It was embarrassing.
Hey, Rachel, there's a difference between saying, I love our guy, James Marilat, but there's a difference between saying that was embarrassing, which it was, and Michael Malone is a terrible coach and the Nuggets are going nowhere. I mean, that is there's a radical difference between those two things. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what James or other people want. They want Michael Malone to show more effort. You know, do you think the offseason moves were bad? Do you think he had the wrong guys out on the court? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Here's what I found funny, and this happens a lot, it feels like, across the media, is, and I preface this with saying there's a difference between throwing your players under the bus, and like taking control or handling a situation when a loss happens. But the way that people handle the way Michael Malone does his press conferences when he clearly comes out and he says that our team didn't play good, and the way they handle Nathaniel Hackett coming out and being like, I liked this, but these things didn't go. It's so funny how they want Hackett to be more like Malone almost, and then they want Malone to be more like Hackett. Like, you can't be happy with either one.
Well, I'm happy with Michael Malone and Jared Bednar, and I think Nathaniel Hackett has a long way to grow. I have no problems whatsoever when your team plays poorly, you holding your players accountable.
Agreed.
I got no problems with that. Jared Bednar does it. Michael Malone does it. A lot of great coaches do it. And it's not, but they're both of those guys are very quick to praise their guys at the same time. So there's no BS with these two guys. With Hackett, I don't think it's BS with Hackett. I'm not saying just because I say there's no BS with Bednar Malone that there is BS with Hackett. What there is with Hackett, I agree with what he's saying. There's growing pains. There are growing pains. That is absolutely true. It's just difficult for us as a Broncos fan base to go through this again. I mean, growing pains with VJ, growing pains with Fangio, and now growing pains again with Hackett. And where this really goes, Rachel, sadly, is the fact that we were so hesitant and so slow to have an ownership change for all these years, and we are paying, sadly, the price. So I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt with the Walton Penner group that they're absorbing all this information for the first time because it's growing pains for them too. They don't know. I mean, they're talking about Roger Goodell. They're just figuring this stuff out. And, they're going to own the Broncos for a long, long time, maybe forever. It may stay in their family like the Krafts and the Jones and the Rooneys and the Hunts. It may stay in their family for time infinitum, okay? And that's fine by me. There have been incredible NFL franchises that have been owned by families forever. I've got no problems with it. Mm-hmm. It's just that we are at the very, very beginning with them. And their true test will probably come. Listen, Rachel, if they're 4-4 at the break, it's Nathaniel Hackett for the rest of the year, no matter what. If they're 2-6 at the break, Nathaniel Hackett, you should move on from him. Period. You got nothing else to lose. It's a little quirky at 3-5. And I would say at 3-5, it's a coin toss. And that's where we find some sort of test.
Okay. I don't know. I can't believe we're talking about this. I feel like I say that every day now, DMAC. I never in a million years would have expected we would be having these conversations. I also didn't expect the Nuggets to lose on Wednesday night. That came as a huge surprise. How do you think they finish the weekend, though? Will they be able to pull it off? Well, I think we both kind of
No, they'll lose tonight.
What about tomorrow night, though?
They'll win on Saturday. They'll win on Saturday. They're playing, the Thunder, I believe, on Saturday. Yeah. They'll win on Saturday, and everybody will be pumped up and look good. And Jamal Murray will go for 26 points and hit a bunch of threes. And, the order of the world will be restored. So I think they do that. By the way, tonight, real quick, the Avalanche played the Seattle Kraken, which who cares, except Andre Burakovsky comes back, and they're going to present his, Stanley Cup ring to him, to Berkey, before the game. And he was an interesting character for the Avalanche. He scored a huge game-winning goal in the Stanley Cup final. Let's not forget that.
True.
Thank you, Berkey. He was incredibly productive offensively, but he was kind of the Will Barton of the Avalanche. He was just a roller coaster of up and down. But that's going to be a cool moment tonight. I'm sure there'll be a nice tribute video. He'll get the ring. So good reason to show up a little bit before the game to understand that's going on. But Rachel, I'm pointing this out because then the Avs go for a 4-game road trip, Rachel, and then they go to Finland.
They're gone for like 2 weeks, almost 2 and a half. Like holy smokes.
Right. They don't come back and play a game at Ball Arena until November 10th.
Yeah.
So, get a gander because they're on the road for a long time tonight. And they lost in a frustrating way. Wednesday kind of sucked, Rachel.
Oh, it was a bad time. An overtime loss, yeah.
Overtime loss to Winnipeg. They're having problems right now getting scoring support deeper than their first set of guys. So deeper than, Lehkonen, McKinnon, Rantanen, and Nichushkin have been fine. Yeah. But everybody else underneath that, Compher, Newhook, Logan O'Connor, who knows with him, Rodriguez, the new guy. I mean, they've done like nothing. So right now we look a lot like the Edmonton Oilers with one big line and shooting nothing else the rest of the way. And that is not acceptable. They've got to figure that one out. Now I'm not panicking on that either, but we now know Landeskog is out for 3 months. You got to get some contributions a little deeper down. I'm looking good on my prediction about Nichushkin being a top 10 player in the league. I am looking good on that, but you need some other stuff. And right now they're getting nothing else.
I know, D-Mac. Wednesday was really bad because, the Nuggets got blown out. I know they almost made a comeback, still ended up getting blown out. And then the Avs losing. And then, of course, you got all the Broncos drama with Melvin Gordon and such. So it was tough. But we do have to tell everybody about an awesome opportunity with Redline Athletic Centennial, how you can take your student athlete to the next level. Check it out, denverfan.com. You can win a free year-long membership. It's a new state-of-the-art agility and training facility. Plus, you get a $100 gas gift card. So who doesn't want free gas? I can tell you I do. Check it out, denverfan.com. Ages 8 through 18 can enter in to win. So an awesome opportunity there. We're about to do Cecil's Fantasy 5 here in just a few minutes, DMAC. But for you, who needs to win more this weekend to kind of get back on track? Is it the Broncos because they're the Broncos? Or do we need to feel a little bit of something when it comes to the Nuggets and the Avs? I'm not really too worried about. But I guess between the Broncos and the Nuggets, who needs to win more?
Oh, by a million miles, it's the Broncos. I mean, if this was the Nuggets season, we'd be on game 38 or 39, through an 82-game season compared it to the Broncos. Oh, no. It's the Broncos by a mile, Rachel. And it's been a fascinating story. Every week it's been a must-win week. And we're getting closer and closer where it's not only a must-win week, but it's an elimination week. We have to – I'm rolling my eyes, Rachel, about the must-win cliche because we all know it doesn't really mean what it means. It's like when Outen said, every game's a rivalry. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Well, if every game's a rivalry, that means there's no rivalries. If every game's a must-win game, that means no game is a must-win game. But in terms of cliches of sports, yes, it's a must-win game against the Jets because if you do want to make the playoffs, you have to win a certain amount of home games and a certain amount of road games. Mm-hmm. And right now, the Broncos haven't shown they can do either. So the fact that they actually beat the 49ers is how did they do that? How did that happen?
We were on such a high after that game.
Well, you said, wow, they figured it out. And defensively, they figured it out almost every game except against the Colts. And, of course, against the Colts, defensively, they don't play great, but they have their best offensive performance. Yeah. Or not the Colts, the Raiders. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad.
You're good. They're all mixing together because it's just been bad football for a lot of it. All right, DMAC, as always, a pleasure having you. But it's time for Cecil's Fantasy 5 at 10:55. Hit the open. Let's go.
High five. Who do you start? Who do you sit? Any sleepers? Here's Cecil Lammey with this week's 5 fantasy tips.
Cecil Lammy. Oh, where are you at, Cecil? New background.
I am deep in the tunnels of UC Health Training Center, so I hope it's not too echoey. And if I can give a little bit of a tell here, I'm where James Palmer does his NFL Network hits here.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm taking the place of James Palmer for just a little bit.
Nice. Okay, well, we'll get into your fantasy tips. Let's go. Number 1, restore the roar.
Yeah, restore the roar. The Detroit Lions are back in action this week, and we're set to see 4 teams come back from their bye, including the Raiders, which we'll talk about. But with the roar, it's DeAndre Swift back in action. You had Jamal Williams in as a borderline RB1 for a couple of weeks while Swift missed time, and Jamal Williams is still going to be effective, but more as a flex play now that DeAndre Swift is back. And with Swift back for the Lions, that means that he's their RB1. And that should settle down their offense, settle down Jared Goff a little bit, along with that passing game with Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god. So, yeah, restore the roar, come out of the bye. We'll see what they have this week. And, well, they're going to have DeAndre Swift, and that's a big moment for fantasy gyms.
Those Lions, although I know they've struggled a little bit, I think they're on their way up. So interesting to pay attention to. All right. No QB controversy. Hit me with this one, Cecil.
Yeah, in New England, and I wish D-Mac was still around because I think he loved Bailey Zappi. I don't know. He loves a lot of quarterbacks. Maybe we'll fire up that conversation again with the way that the Broncos situation is going. Bailey Zappi's okay. All right. Mac Jones is okay. And I know our man Zach Bye was like super high on Mac Jones last year. It's like Jones was system specific for 2 places, New England and New Orleans. So he went to New England, and that's a good thing. And that's a positive for Mac Jones. Like, he's back in action. He struggled earlier this year. Then he got hurt. Then they went to Brian Hoyer. Then they went to Bailey Zappi, and Zappi's played well. Now, Bill Belichick knows how to bring the best out of players, and Zappi is a somewhat limited quarterback. He's going to throw the heck out of the ball with short to intermediate, maybe take some deep shots, but not as much as, let's say, Mac Jones could. So there is no quarterback controversy in New England. It is Mac Jones's team, and Bailey Zappi was there to fill in, made himself some money, showed he could be a solid backup, but make no mistake about it, they're not thinking about, what do we do with Bailey Zappi? No, he's going back to the bench.
Yeah. Same thing in Dallas, right? Cooper Rush obviously went that 4-0 start, but Dak is the man there with the Cowboys. All right, moving on to number 3. We got YOLO ball in Washington.
Yeah, YOLO ball, because it's Taylor Heineke back at quarterback for the Washington Commanders. And we've seen Heineke before. Heineke, a player that I saw at the Shrine game years ago, Old Dominion, top of my head, I believe. So he comes out in the league, and if he was 6'4" instead of 6'1", he might have been a top pick. I mean, he's got skill as a passer. He's certainly daring do. That's why I'd say it's YOLO ball, because he's just going to throw it up, right? So this is good news for Terry McLaurin. It's good news, in my opinion, for Curtis Samuel. Jahan Dotson had an aggravation to his hamstring injury this week, so he's going to continue to miss time. That means Giammi Brown is there to help kind of pick up some of the slack, and he's had a couple of touchdowns filling in for Jahan Dotson. So, you know, you've got some talented players, and players maybe aren't thinking about, because it's the Washington Commanders, and it's without Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz had a thing in his contract where if it's like 70% of the snaps played, then the Washington gets a better pick, or has to give up a better pick, So the situation with Wentz was always going to change anyway. It just happens to change with injury now. And also now, if Taylor Heineke doesn't work out, because Heineke just plays YOLO ball, he throws it up, he doesn't care, he plays with no care for his own personal safety. He's reckless abandon. This is a dude who helped someone, I think, like his friend locked his keys in his apartment, so he like broke through the screen door, like plate glass, and had to miss time, like got cut up because of it, because he's just crazy. Like, he's mental. But that's Taylor Heineke. So they could give a look to Sam Howell. Their rookie they picked up was a 5th rounder out of North Carolina, and there was a time when Howell was considered like the next Baker Mayfield, when that was a good thing. And there was a time when Howell was considered a 1st-round pick, falls all the way in the draft. But you see a talented player who maybe Washington Commanders give a chance to. So right now it's YOLO ball with Heineke. After that, we'll see if they give it to Howell.
Okay, all right. Interesting story there. Number 4, Sony Guts.
Yeah, it's a Sony Guts, right? It's just as good. It's Sony Guts. And you see Sony Michel is in there for the Los Angeles Chargers now. Now, Austin Eckler's still their starter, and Austin Eckler is still fantastic, and Austin Eckler is still going to do everything as a runner and receiver out of the backfield. But as we saw against the Broncos, once Joshua Kelly went down with a knee injury, it turned out to be an MCL injury. He will miss, let's say, roughly a month. And that means it's going to open up the door for Sony Michel, a player that the Chargers were able to pick up. And that's a former first-round pick. That's got a very talented back, a powerful back that's an intense and durable player as well. So if they're a short yardage or goal line situation, you've got Sony Michel in there instead of Joshua Kelly. And as we saw with Kelly, and even in a dash with Michel, there's at least what the heck flex value in that sort of role on that team. Fantasy football is very complicated, but it's also very simple. Get the players from the good teams, even if they're the backups. And you see that with Sony Michel, a backup, but he's on a really good team, and he'll have an opportunity to score touchdowns, which definitely has fantasy relevance.
True. Okay, last one. We've got Dak is back. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but he's back, baby.
Yeah, he is back. Dak is back, and that should be a calming influence on the Cowboys, and also should get more out of their offense. You know, Cooper Rush did a fine job. Fans love Cooper Rush. It's crazy. I've been watching the Cooper Rush rookie card market. Rachel, this is what happens when you have no life. I'm on eBay, and I'm scouring for Skylar Thompson rookie cards and Cooper Rush rookie cards. No Bailey. I don't like Bailey Zappi. Maybe D-Mac. Maybe for Christmas we can get D-Mac two things. One, a microphone. Two, let's get him some Bailey Zappi rookie cards because he loves that guy. I don't love him. Cooper Rush, I was at least watching the market, which was fairly hot. Fans love him, and Cowboys fans certainly love Cooper Rush. So what you'll see now, Dak is back, more CD, more Michael Gallup. Dalton Schultz is actually healthy. I believe he fully participated in practice yesterday, something that he hasn't done in a while. So you're kind of getting healthy at not necessarily the right time, but you're getting healthy at a good time. If you're a fantasy gym, you've been waiting for Dak to be back, well, you're in luck. He's back this week.
All right, I've got another question for you. We talked about it a little bit on yesterday's show. If you have Melvin Gordon on your team, are you starting him?
No, I think the starting thing with Melvin Gordon is a little bit overblown. He started last week, you know, so, and he didn't play. So starting and actually playing are two different things. Now, are you dumping Melvin Gordon? Maybe if you're a Broncos fan and you're sick of his pouting or sick of his fumbles, yeah, maybe. Fantasy football's kind of weird that way because you as the GM can make the decision on your players, right? And for years, let's say a player got in trouble doing nefarious things, I would, in my main league, say he's not allowed to be drafted. Just because I don't want that guy, you know, if it was a Ben Roethlisberger or something like that, that'll give you an idea of those nefarious things that some quarterbacks or players get popped for. Yeah, you can do that in your league. So if you're sick of Melvin Gordon, you can dump him. But here's the thing. If he gets traded to the Rams, then you'll want him because the Rams are going to move on. If they haven't already, Rachel, I've been hunting comic books this morning. Shocker, Cecil's been hitting garage sales for comic books on Friday morning. But like they're going to move on from Cam Akers. We already saw the Christian McCaffery deal. So like, yeah, you may be pissed at Gordon now, but when he's starting for the Rams in 2 weeks, maybe you'll like to have him. So, you know, maybe calm down a little bit. Don't start him. The Broncos shouldn't even be starting him. So fantasy gym shouldn't be starting him either.
Okay, so you're linking Melvin Gordon to the Rams in 2 weeks.
It's going to be somebody. I mean, you'll watch. We talked about the Gus bus with Baltimore. Baltimore was the only team, as Orlando says, the streets were cold for Melvin Gordon out there. So Baltimore was the only team that brought him in for a workout. They didn't sign him. And they've run through J.K. Dobbins, who's hurt again. Kenyon Drake had a big game last week, but will continue. Gus Edwards, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago as a player to get, might actually play this week. So they got the Gus bus. I think a team like that is fine, but all it takes is Sunday, some injury, some running back somewhere to create interest. Now, don't expect Denver to get much of anything for him if they actually do trade him. I mean, you're talking like a 7th-round pick. Just something to get rid of him, get you some more picks, collect those picks like George Payton loves to do, like I love collecting comic books and Skylar Thompson rookie cards. But either way, like, it's somebody the Rams seem to make a lot of sense.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Cecil, we always appreciate your 5 fantasy tips. We'll let you go mingle, see what other info you can find out there at Dove Valley.
Peace.
All right, Cecil's 5 fantasy tips brought to you by Hooters. We bring in our very own Jake Shapiro here in just a second. He's got an outfit that he's looking quite good in. Jake, my friend, how are you?
I'm good, Rachel. I figured it's fall. I got to get in the fall season. I'm drinking my pumpkin spice latte. I'm enjoying this Taylor Swift album. I'm all falled out.
Okay, I need to ask you, and you be honest, you've actually heard it. I have not heard anything about the album. Like, I haven't listened to a single song, but I've heard some people say that it's not super hot.
Well, I think we should really have Will Peterson here as our local. You don't know that Will's a big Taylor Swift guy?
I'm texting Will right now
What
just
Will
to
on
ask
right now?
him.
He had a listening party last night at 10 p.m.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Will loves Taylor Swift. I like Taylor Swift a lot. Like, I enjoy her music. I'll be quite honest with the audience. It was about 4th on my album listening charts between last night and today because I like a lot of music. We had Carly Rae, who's one of my favorites. We had Slater Kinney. We had Arctic Monkeys, 1975 released some music. So yeah, but I'm all in the Taylor Swift mode now that it's fall. We're PSLs. I'm just a basic guy. What can I say?
Okay, let me see. What's the weather supposed to be like come Sunday? I'll be at the game. Should I pack warm clothes? What am I feeling here?
Well, Rachel, you're getting a little tip off of what I'm wearing here. And, it's been more of a summery fall than a fall-y summer, if you catch my drift. And we're going to have a very fall-y day on Sunday. In fact, we might see some snow Sunday night. We're going to have a 69-degree high, 40% chance of rain at the time of kickoff in the Broncos game, and it is going to be windy, folks. We're talking about 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible, and then again, it might snow on your drive home. It's not going to stick to the roads until much later, so it is going to be a not-so-nice weather day. D-Mac said earlier this week, well, go out to the Broncos game. You're going to enjoy it. It's the last day before the weather turns. Well, it looks like the weather might be turning while the Broncos are playing, and next week all the highs are into the mid-50s. So we're starting to get it's here. It's here.
Okay, that is horrible news, though, for the fact that we're all expecting to see a lot of McManus out on the field for kicking. So if there's some huge wind gusts, there might be some missed field goals come Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to have to hope the wind gusts are going north to south and the Broncos are going that same direction. Generally in Colorado, and I can give you my meteorological charts here and which way the wind blows. Generally, it comes from out of the west. And as you know, the Broncos Stadium in Power Field at Mile High is a north-south facing field. So that cross breeze effect does not lead to good takeoffs of airplanes.
Here comes the airplane.
So you may see some trouble with the jets getting up and down off the ground.
Okay. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, I did ask Will for 5 words to describe the Taylor Swift album. He said electrical, magical, perfect, more entertaining than the Broncos. So I guess I'll have to give it a listen because it's been tough.
So more entertaining than the Broncos was one word.
Apparently. And then it's really only 4, right?
Well, more entertaining than the Broncos is 5 words. So that could have been all of his 5 words, but he did it as 1. So good job, Will. Respect. But yeah, no, it's a good album. It's somewhere between Evermore and Lover. It's like they had a little baby. She's definitely in her indie era right now, the last 3 records. So we respect it. I'm an indie guy. You see the hat.
I do. I like it, actually.
You'll never guess what this hat is actually for.
A costume of some sort?
Yes, it's for my Smokey the Bear Halloween costume.
Oh my, I was going to say like Indiana Jones, but Smokey the Bear is even better. You need to dress up in a Smokey the Bear costume one day on coffee break for me, okay?
I think we're on during Halloween or the day before or something like that. So we can definitely do a little Halloween show.
I can't wait. Okay, give me your prediction for Sunday. And actually, we're both going to be at the Nuggets game. We'll get to Sunday in a second, but we're both going to be at the Nuggets game tomorrow night. Give me your prediction for tomorrow night. I'm taking a loss for tonight, but I think a win tomorrow night. What's yours?
Yeah, I think we might actually see the Nuggets sneak out a win tonight. I'm not that.
Without Jamal.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Nuggets can get a win without Jamal Murray. I'm not really that concerned.
Okay.
We were all talking about DeAndre Jordan being a guy that is going to hurt this Nuggets team when he signed. Well, he's minus 13 in like 6 minutes of play in that opening night loss. And I think the Warriors might be kind of get that energy drained after opening night. Like there's a possibility the Nuggets sneak up on the Warriors the same way the Jazz snuck up on the Nuggets because of the energy. The Jazz were excited for the start of their new season. Now the Nuggets and the Warriors, this is just game 2 of 82. So I don't want to count the Nuggets completely out of tonight. I am expecting the Warriors to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets won, put it that way. But yeah, the Nuggets should roll the Thunder. I'll tell you a story real quick. I was driving to a game last year, Nuggets Thunder, and I turned to my fiance and I go, isn't it great that we root for such a good basketball team that, we go into this game, they're 12-point favorites, and there's no threat of them losing this game. Well, the Nuggets lost that game to the Thunder. So the Thunder, they're sneaky, and they've got some good guys. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's a hell of a ball player, and they've got a couple nice guys like Kenrich Williams. So it's not like as easy as a win in the NBA as we kind of make it out to be. The bottom tier of NBA teams aren't yet tanking, and they do have talent. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but yeah. We're hoping Nikola Jokic has a little MVP celebration. Jamal Murray is back. It should be an exciting day on Saturday, and I'm personally just pumped to be out there with you.
I know. I'm literally looking forward to it. It'll be the first game you and I have been able to go to together, so it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, hit me with Sunday's prediction. What you taking?
Oh man, I'm not as conservative with my pick about this one as DMAC is. The Jets have looked pretty good to me, and I think the Broncos are just, no matter what the Broncos do, they can't get out of their own way. Yeah. Even when they're playing somewhat decently, which has been rare, they make a mistake and they can't get out of their own way. I just do not see a way the Broncos win this game. Like, I don't. If it's Russ, he's looked terrible. He might be hurt. If it's not Russ, well, who's scoring for your worst offense in the NFL? So I feel so bad, Rachel, because the defense has been so good, and barring them scoring once or maybe 2 defensive touchdowns, there's no way they stand a chance against a not amazing Jets team. And we're talking about a game in Denver. This is tough. It's tough.
Okay. We had a comment that said 23-13 Broncos. So some people are thinking this offense could get it together. I'll be interesting to see if Russ plays. But we do want to jump into the weekend, just like the Cardinals do last night. Are you kidding me with that jump? I love it. I'm excited for the weekend. Jake, what else are you doing this weekend besides Nuggets? Well, I guess that's our whole weekend, right? Nuggets tomorrow night. Sunday, we've got the Broncos. What are you doing tomorrow morning? Are you doing brunch or anything?
I might try to sneak out to Elitch's. We'll see about that. Fright Fest. It's the fall. Okay. We got to go full fall. But no, my buddy asked me if I wanted to go to Meow Wolf this week, and I said there's no time. Rachel, we've also got one of the biggest sporting events of the summer/fall/year coming this weekend. It's American Grand Prix week in Austin, Texas. Howdy, y'all. Let's go. Let's see Danny Rick get a win for McLaren. Come on, baby. So that's going on garbage truck. That's going on same time as the Broncos game. So I'll be flipping back and forth between CBS and ABC.
Oh my gosh. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for Jake, myself, Will with the T Swift, DMAC, Cecil. A fun week. Hopefully the Broncos can get it done on Sunday, and hopefully the Nuggets can get one done tonight against the Splash Trios. That's what I'm calling them. No longer Splash Brothers because you got Jordan Poole in there. So they're the trio. We'll see everybody later. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. See you Monday. Bye.
Here comes the